Hey everyone, welcome to this weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast for the week of October 9th through the 15th of 2023. All right, so an important week astrologically, really an important week of the year. We do have now the eclipse season coming up. We have a solar eclipse on Saturday, conjunct the South Node. And so here it is, a new beginning, but here with the South Node eclipse, it's very much about releasing and clearing perhaps past karma, perhaps some energy to heal with a lot of the aspects to Chiron we have as well. But the South Node is very much about releasing, healing, and resolving the past energy that leaves us feeling more free and liberated as a result. So that's going to be later in the week. As we do approach that eclipse, it is good to allow it to be a spiritual time anyways, as we are ending the current lunar month, and that typically is getting into the lowest energy of the lunar month. Now with the aspects, we do have a couple with Saturn that are important. We have Venus opposite Saturn early in the week. That can be good to do a bit of a status check with our values, with our relationships, and our enjoyments of life, and seeing how they're going, and maybe there's some shifts and changes we can make there in order to have more grounded and responsible enjoyments and connections there. And then Mars is going to be trining up to Saturn a little bit later, closer to that eclipse on Friday. And so here, maybe feeling a bit responsible, maybe a bit determined and committed to things. And that can actually be a very constructive force to work with there. And then Pluto is going station direct about early midweek. And so there is a movement moving forward again in regards to the deeper dimensions. Pluto is the ruler of the underworld, and it's all about uncovering deep stuff for now. Again, personal transformation and perhaps some healing there. So it's going to take some time to build momentum, as Pluto is a slow-moving planet, but it is definitely the theme of the week. All right, so let's go and take a look at all of this here in more detail when we return. Alrighty, so here's the sky for this week. We're going to look at this for each day of the week, starting first with October 9th, Monday, October 9th. And as you can see here, we are using the visible sky on this channel, which is very different from mainstream astrology. You won't see this in mainstream astrology because unfortunately they do not use the visible sky. And so this does mean that the signs change. And so if you are new to this channel, definitely check out the link down below for more information on using the visible sky, called True Sidereal Astrology. All right, so big week astrologically. Let's just do a quick recap, even though nothing has really changed over the past couple weeks in terms of placements. Okay, we still have the Sun, Mercury, and Mars still very well set in the constellation of Virgo. And again, this is where we're having the solar eclipse coming up here. So Virgo is all about finding what can be improved and fixed in our lives, whether it's for ourselves through things like personal development or health, even our own skills or work, but also, of course, externally as well, what can be improved in our life, fixed, and kind of getting into that more detail-oriented side of things. So it's all about striving towards an ideal of being the best we can be, of the situations being the best they can be. And I think that's still definitely going on this week. That is where we're seeing the new beginnings with the solar eclipse. So any intentions around that this week and the coming weeks, I think, is fantastic. Now, of course, we want to, always balance that out with Pisces, which I'm going to talk about when I get to the eclipse where the North Node is, which is about also letting go of what's outside of our control and being more receptive while we are getting into the more detail-oriented side of things. Now, Venus is still building her momentum here in Leo after her retrograde earlier this year. And so still good to be seeing the value and enjoyments of self-expression and perhaps playfulness, creative energy, interests, hobbies, connecting with others in a way it's a little bit more expressive or playful. Is a great way of working with Leo. So that's still the enjoyment factor. That's still how we're connecting to life and to others. And so really good for still some of that Leo energy, especially because the moon will be finishing Leo here these first 3 days of the week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, good to really cultivate that self-expression and connect to the things and people that are close to our hearts. That's what Leo's all about. But it really is the ending of the previous lunar cycles that we've had. Now, this last one did start right in between Leo and Virgo, but the one prior to that, and even this last one in many ways, has been involving this self-expression. So it's good to close out, finalize things in terms of reconnecting with that heart and self-expression. Maybe even reflect a little bit on what we've developed there the past couple months with that as well. And again, just let the energies die down as we do end the current cycle as we approach Saturday's solar eclipse. All right, and then also early this week, we do have some aspects. Now, as we do get into Monday, it is good to perhaps feel a bit of the empowerment. Maybe there were some things over the Sunday and even early Monday time period with the Mars square Pluto, which is really about reclaiming our personal power in some way and practicing a little bit of that non-attachment to external things outside of our, control. And so this can be very empowering, and I think it's a good way of coming into the week is reclaiming some of that power and, the personal power and really feeling that transformed self and doing things that maybe we otherwise wouldn't do if we were before operating in any states of attachment or fear. And it can actually be a very empowering first couple days of the week coming off of that Mars square Pluto, which is, again, the post-transformation, the post-empowerment of that particular aspect. Now, this is also when Venus will be opposite Saturn. And so, as I was saying in the intro, particularly these first couple days, I think it's good to do a bit of a status check with how our values, relationships, and enjoyments, which also includes things like finances, material stuff like this. How are the enjoyments and relationship stuff going in our life? And maybe there's some things we can shift and make some changes with, as oppositions do tend to be a good time to have some awareness, some clarity. And in many ways, it's a harvest of what we've cultivated the past 6 months, and actually longer since Venus was retrograde. But since earlier this year, what are the things that you have cultivated in regards to your enjoyments and your relationships, and maybe doing a bit of that status check, maybe some shifts and changes to further enjoy and further connect in healthy, constructive, and with Saturn, disciplined ways. Okay, so that's very good. And anything around that level with Saturn's responsibility, maturity, long-term view in that context, I think is fantastic. Now, once we do get to the Tuesday, Wednesday time period, Pluto will be stationed for his now direct for the next 6 months. This is also good to reflect on the past 6 months and see what have we been perhaps learning about personal power, about healing, about facing fears, and really connecting to the things that are most important to us in life on a deep level, on a core level. Because Pluto shows us where, again, we can give our power away, but also where we're not operating true to us, where we built things based on comforts, fears, securities, the expression that we've built something based on a lie or not based on us or our authentic self or what we really want. These are the things Pluto removes. And so during the station, it's not that I think, Tuesday, Wednesday, necessarily anything is going to shift just these couple days with it. But starting around here and for the coming weeks, while Pluto does start to build his forward movement, it is good to perhaps incorporate some of these things that, again, are true to us, or we are feeling more non-attached with because we've reclaimed our power. We let some things go, again, non-attached, more free, more empowered, more of our true self, and more connected to what life's really about, and who we really are, and what life's really about to us, as Pluto starts to move forward. But certainly we can see perhaps some things shifting in that department. If Pluto is quite prominent in your transit chart at the moment with this station direct. Now also with this, we have oppositions to Chiron because the solar eclipse will be opposite up to Chiron, the healer. And here the sun will start the first contact here with the opposition around Tuesday, Wednesday. So really all week long and even going into next week, because again, it is part of the solar eclipse coming up, it is good to do a status check with specifically the healing side of thing, as Chiron, we could say, shows us our shadows, the things that can be accepted about ourselves and healed and transformed. So a great week for setting any intentions with healing. And I know a lot of what we've talked about with healing is very psychological or spiritual, but when we're dealing with Chiron, it can also strictly mean physical healing as well. So if that's a bigger thing for you, do know that this week and next week in particular, and again, this whole upcoming lunar cycle is fantastic for physical healing as well. Okay, so anything on that department, again, status check, maybe even seeing how much we've healed the past 6 months as well, coming up to the opposition here. Okay, and the eclipses being a 6-month or yearly cycle as well. All right, and perhaps seeing some things, again, positively moving forward and shifting with that healing department, especially because Pluto's going direct around that same time also. Okay, so that's the first few days of the week. Now, by this point, once we do get to Thursday onward, we're really closing out the current lunar cycle. We'll have the moon shift into Virgo on Thursday. And that's going to be likely where we're going to start to feel this solar eclipse energy. So again, solar eclipse on Friday, be about midday for most of us. Well, if you're in the Americas, about midday, Europe later in the day. So we'll say the days surrounding Saturday for all intents and purposes. But it is a new beginning. Now it is again a south node eclipse. All the new and full moons next to the nodes are eclipses. And the nodes, as a lot of you likely know, are the life path angles. And so in this case, the south node is the past energy or past life, if you believe in that, but really the path behind us. And so the eclipse is a great time to really connect with our roots, but not so much in a way that's very mental or trying to understand it or figure it out. The south node is a very yin energy, and yin is more about receiving. And so here it's receiving from life. You know, whatever life wants to bring to us at this time, I think is a great way of working with this eclipse or any south node eclipse. And it could definitely be in the context of Virgo, what can be, again, fixed, improved, refined upon, but in a completely new, more balanced, more healthy way. And it's going to take a process of at least this lunar cycle to cultivate, and you could say even the next 6 months. And really you could say the next, what has been a 2-year period with the south node transiting Virgo. Okay, but let's just say the next month, good to see how we can be more receptive, receive from the universe in the realm of what can be fixed, improved, detailed, oriented, and cultivate some of this in healthy and constructive ways. Now, certainly being mindful of it, we want to bring conscious awareness to the yin energy and receive what life wants to give us here. But there will likely be a part of ourself that maybe wants to resist, push away, maybe put on the blinders. And so when I say it's not mental or thinking, that's true, but it is good to bring awareness, conscious awareness without judgment, just observation, just that conscious light. And from there, we can really benefit in regards to the transformation, the reconnection to our roots, and really the clearing and releasing of the past energy that is just no longer needed for our future journey. So anything in that context, again, is great. Just sitting with the energy, seeing what new is coming up for that releasing, for that clearing, for that awareness, all right? And then as we get into the coming weeks, noticing more of that momentum building in regards to feeling the results of what happens when we do reconnect with our soul, and we are more free and liberated because we have, made peace with and accepted whatever has come up there that needed to be released and cleared. All right, so yeah, it's going to be close to Mercury. Mercury's quite close to the sun usually anyways, but he just adds to the Virgo energy of it being about improvement, refinement. Maybe there are some things in regards to, again, understanding, but not understanding in a mental sense, perhaps in a more spiritual and personal development sense. And again, having the opposition to Pisces is very important. And, in this case, it's going to be opposite up to Chiron in Pisces. And so remembering that while there is this karmic stuff getting resolved with the more physical Virgo side of things, the improvement, the physical world, the structures of life, it is, again, good to release what's outside of our control and make peace with what is outside of that control, and remembering to connect to, again, our soul and be more receptive to things. And that can be, again, very healing and very therapeutic, and that's what Chiron has been helping us heal here in Pisces. And of course, the North Node has been the signpost here in Pisces to cultivate more of that receptivity. All right, so that's going to be that Friday time period. I did kind of just jump ahead there because just leading up to that eclipse, it's worth noting that Mars is going to be trining Saturn. So as we do approach that, really, again, ending the current cycle, even though it's not a very yang time, do know that the yang energies of Mars, which is our drives, our needs, our goals, our assertiveness, is in good harmony with Saturn, which can give us really a strong dose of discipline, patience, and perseverance that can be utilized. Again, probably best to channel it into more receptive or personal development things as we are in that phase of the cycle, but supportive for that stuff nonetheless. And we'll be feeling that probably the days surrounding Thursday as we approach that eclipse. There's Mercury opposite up to Chiron, again emphasizing the healing energy, all with that eclipse on Saturday. All right, everyone, so that is the week in a nutshell. Most important thing is that eclipse is the ending of the current lunar cycle, gearing up for a very important new, even yearly cycle coming up with the eclipses, but really the next 6 months, and really just the next 30 days if we want to, 29 days if we want to keep this simple. And it's really about that south node of clearing and the result of clearing, and what can be gifted to us that through creating space creates new beginnings, creates new things, right? And I think that's really what is great for new moons. And anyways, new moons are a yin time. They're the lowest energy of the cycle, and it's good to listen during new moons anyways. And it's good to be receptive and see what comes in, but especially when dealing with the south node like this. And again, it can be very healing and therapeutic as well, with Chiron being so heavily involved here. And then these aspects to Saturn is just nice to see that maybe there's some things that can be shifted this week in regards to the long view, anything that requires patience in the long-term view, whether it's involving Venus's relationships and values or Mars's assertiveness and drives. All right, everyone, so hope this was helpful. Have a fantastic week. Thank you again for all of your support. Be sure to click the like button if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you haven't yet gotten your True Sidereal report going through all of the placements of your natal chart in the True Sidereal chart, definitely check that out. There's a link down below for that. But have a great week, everyone. Have a great solar eclipse, and I'll see you all next time for the next astrology forecast. Take care.